7th century prophets. And so the way that we are studying is by like 9th century prophets, 8th century prophets, right? And now we have come to the 7th century prophets, and then Nahum, Zephaniah, Jeremiah, and Habakkuk. We have 4 prophets who are in the 7th century prophets. And we have the first prophet that is prophesying against Babylonian Empire. And so Nahum is prophesying against. Let's look at a little bit of historical background here for our understanding of this prophet. It's a small one. So mainly what we have to know about this is the historical background. 7th century was an era of dramatic changes. Assyria was able to maintain its dominance until almost end of the century, right? End of the century, until the reigns of Sennacherib. So you have Tiglath-Pileser, Shalmaneser, Sargon second, and you have Sennacherib. They're all Assyrian emperors, ruled in successive times. They were in dominance, right? And then you have Sennacherib. His time was 705 to 681. And after Sennacherib, we have Esarhaddon, 681 to 669. Then Ashurbanipal, and 69 to 627, right? So these are all 7th century Assyrian dominance, right? Assyrian dominance. Its influence in the West was ensured in part by defeating the strong Egyptian army at the Battle of Thebes. So you understand, in the beginning, Egypt was the major power, right? During the time it began, that powerful empire from Joseph onwards, maybe, and during the times of Pharaoh, and it was a major power. And then the shift has changed from Egypt to Assyria. Assyria became major power. Of course, Babylon was there, Syria was there, and Egypt was there, but Assyrians were the major. And so they defeated Egyptians' army in the Battle of Thebes in 663 BC. And however, with the death of Ashurbanipal, the Assyrian Empire quickly declined, right? After Ashurbanipal, empire went down. In the first half of the 7th century, southern kingdom, that is Judah, was ruled by Manasseh. He countered the efforts of his father, Hezekiah, to destroy the high places and led the nation further into idolatry and rebellion, because Hezekiah was a person who was trying to demolish the idol worship places. But Manasseh came, he was further led the nation of Judah into idol worship. Toward the end of his reign, he was imprisoned by Assyrians in Babylon. So he is in Babylonian captivity, right? Manasseh. In captivity, he repented and prayed and asking for God's deliverance. God honored his prayer and restored him to the throne, where he undertook to undo the evil practices and entrenched during his tenure. So Manasseh became a good king of Judah. Now, following the death of Manasseh, his son Ammon, right, reigned Judah for 2 years. Again, what he did, pursued the evil practice of his father. His own servants conspired to have him assassinated and success. So within 2 years, Ammon is died, killed by his own servants. Conspirators were all killed in turn, right? And what happened? Josiah, Ammon's son, began to rule at the age of 8. So this is what we see, all right? This is the condition. Looking at the date, there is no indication from the superscription of Nahum's prophecy. When should be date? But the internal evidence suggests that it should be around like 663 BC, the fall of Thebes. And in Nahum uses the destruction of Thebes as the historical example of what God will do to Nineveh. Remember, we saw the battle, right? Egyptian army was defeated, right, by Ashurbanipal in the battle of Thebes. So that is recorded in Nahum, right? And in the same passage, Nahum anticipates the fall of Nineveh. The prophecy should be dated so around 612 BC. So there are suggestions are given, offered by conservative scholars, all based on internal evidence. There are 3 suggestions given there as against whom Nahum is prophesying. 650 BC, this would be during the reign of Manasseh, while Assyria was in the apex of power. So that is what some people say. Some others say it is 635. Like Nahum during the reign of Josiah prophesied prior to the death of Ashurbanipal. Some others say it was 620 BC. This would locate the prophecy during Josiah's reform, the last, right? After the death of Ashurbanipal, he reformed Judah. The championing of this view point to the fact that Nahum does not criticize Judah in his prophecy, right? So therefore they say most probably is written during the time of Josiah. Josiah is considered to be a good king, and most probably, yes, it could be. I think prophecy was written during the time of reign of Josiah. Most probably that is the right kind of date. And the author, yes, what is the Nahum means? Nahum means comfort or consolation, right? Comfort or consolation. Like Jonah, over 100 years earlier, Nahum focused on God's judgment of Nineveh and Assyrian Empire. So you have 2 prophets that are prophesying against Nineveh. Nineveh was the capital of Assyria, right? So you have Nahum and Jonah, both of them were prophesying against Assyria, and especially focusing on Nineveh, because Nineveh was the capital of Assyria. Of course, so you have in the former prophecy, there was seen in the remission of judgment due to Nineveh's repentance. In the latter, there is seen in unmitigating expectation of God's judgment because of Ninevites' obduracy, right? They were against the Judah. Indirectly, Nahum does represent a prophecy of consolation, and that is not for Nineveh, but for Judah, that God will judge Nineveh. It documents God's intent to punish a nation that has mistreated the people of God. And there is a sense which Israel's enemies were God's enemies, and in avenging Israel's enemies, God was avenging himself as well. So what we are reading in Nahum says Nineveh is going to be punished. Nineveh is taken as like capital for entire Assyria. Assyria is going to be, yes, there was a one time they repented, but now that's not the case. They are against Judah. Assyria is going to be punished, destroyed, God is going to use different nation to punish Assyrians, right? And Assyria will no more be on the earth as a major power from here onwards. That is what Nahum says. Plus, Nahum says, therefore, Judah, you have something to rejoice, to be comforted. God will care. God will avenge your enemies and will care for you. That is what basically Nahum says. So it's not a big book, few verses. The theme is God's judgment of Nineveh, right? It is actually can be divided into two divisions, right? One is judgment, announcement of judgment. You have and description of judgment in chapter 2, right? And it goes on 3, and yes, so that's what basically it is. A small book, not much to discuss, right? God's judgment of Nineveh. That is what it says. Basically, it is written to comfort Jewish people, right? Your enemy whom tried to destroy you will be punished, right? Not interpretive issues. Now, I know that in your notes, maybe you may not see a picture that I will send you. Not much interpretive issues, but there is a one picture that is not there. I've taken it from Bible Knowledge Commentary, very old commentary, very good commentary, I would say, especially in the Old Testament. And I have given in that Nahum's prophecies and historical fulfillments are given there. Basically, prophesies Assyrian fortresses, so it will be captured. Ninevites would prepare bricks and mortar for emergency defense walls, right? And city gates would be destroyed. And he talks of final hours of the attack of the Ninevites. Final hours, Ninevites would be drunk, incapable of fighting. Ninevites would be destroyed by a flood. Nineveh would be destroyed by fire. And city capture would be attended by a great massacre of people. Plundering and pillaging would accompany overthrow of the city. And Nineveh would be captured. Its people would try to escape. Ninevite officers would weaken and flee. Nineveh's images and idols would be destroyed. Nineveh's destruction would be fine. These are the prophecies, major prophecies. There are 12, and fulfillment is given there. You can look at as you get the notes. Quite interesting. Ninevites were very cruel people, right? You know that one. These Assyrians were very cruel, and they the reason why they were very cruel, it began from Tiglath-Pileser onwards. You know, if they invade an army, they just brutally persecute them. That's what Ninevites usually do. And if you know, the history suggests that they skin their enemies alive. You know, skinning, like take the skin off their enemies alive. That's how, I mean, they really painfully killed the enemies. They were very cruel people, Assyrians were, Ninevites were. And you know, when God said to Jonah, you know, go to Nineveh and prophesy, Jonah doesn't want to go. Why Jonah doesn't want to go? Because according to Jonah thinks these people deserve God's punishment. That's what Jonah thought. They deserve God's punishment. They don't deserve any consolation from God. So that's the reason Jonah doesn't want to go, because they were very cruel people. But God made him to go. You know the story of Jonah. So this is the second book that is prophesied against Nineveh. When you compare to you know, when you look at the Old Testament books, yes, Jonah and Nahum are the two prophetical books or books that is prophesied against Nineveh.